Okay, we're going live. What's going on, everybody? Just gonna make sure I shared it out on Instagram, X, and Facebook. I think those are all. I shared it out on Discord as well. God bless everybody. Thank you for being here. Let's kick this off, and then I'll see y'all in a moment. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Exposing Powerful Lies. Mela was intentionally lurking. Everybody is identifying as a lurker today. That's the first stream we've done in forever. Forever, where there was like nobody in the live chat. I'm starting to develop a little complex. Starting to develop a little, not an inferiority complex. I'm starting to think you guys don't love me. You guys don't love. Welcome to Exposing Powerful Lies. Good to be here, everybody. I had to keep the camera down so y'all could see my radical Svengoolie shirt. And also, look at this little gnome. I found this little gnome at the grocery store. It was half off. A little patriotic gnome. Look at his little nubby feet. See, I think Nubby here would appreciate the little nubby feet. We are so back. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Exposing Powerful Lies. If I keep it up, then all you can see is his face. That's a little weird, but all right. Yeah, I'm a little gnome-pilled. I think we stay gnome-pilled around here. What's up, Ian? Good to see you. One day I will be brave. I appreciate that. You take your time. What's up, Jason Scholl? What's up to all the lurkers in the house? All the people too afraid to sit into the live chat. Discounted gnomes are the best gnomes. I agree. Anything on discount is the best. What's going on, y'all? So I don't have a bunch planned for today. I've had a bunch of different things that I wanted to do streams on in the last few days, but I, for one reason or another, didn't end up doing them. So I'll probably sort through some of those, comments and things I wanted to talk about while we do this. But I really just wanted to hop on here and vent a little bit about how I've been feeling lately and just sort of the things on my mind at the moment. Crazy times we live in. I got to shut my notifications off. Clearly, I keep getting dinged here. 1 second. All right, let me turn off my notifications here. And let me just make sure people messaging me know that I'm live. And, you guys are a little more important. So I'm going to tell my grandma to to check herself. All right, sorry for the dead air, y'all. Anyways, yeah, so I've been, following the latest news and just all of that stuff, and just feeling so many different emotions, so many different, we all have hopes, things that we would like to see. I've talked about it many times on this show, especially in the last few live streams we did. Um, my hopes for what I want to see happen in this country, and what I would like to see. And then there's also that reality check and that understanding that odds are we're not going to see the future that we want to see for this country. We just don't know. We just don't know. All we can do is look out into the world and see what's going on and try to make the best opinions that we can on the matter, and try to do our best to be voices for reason, and voices for nuance and subtlety and all of these different things. But at the end of the day, like, God's in control. God's in control of what happens, and so my two biggest what's the word, advice for anybody watching these streams or feeling like I do, or feeling a different sort of way about it, is just really sincerely just pray. Just pray. Just repent, and just pray to God that He'll be merciful on us, because, like, times are looking rough. I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news. I don't mean to be Mr. Black Pill, because I'm not a black pill guy. We're Orthodox Christians. If time gets super rough, at the end of the day, like, that's a blessing to us, and that's a cross that will beget crowns if we keep the faith. And so it's not a black pill thing, but it is like it sucks, man. It really sucks, because I look at this country, and it's like this dual sort of double-edged sword, where we see so much nonsense, and we see so many people who have just lost their mind. It all depends on where you look, right? If you're the kind of person on TikTok every day, like, you probably think, like, holy hell, like, this country is just full of, like, the worst kinds of people, right? But if you're like a normal person working a job and interacting with people, you're probably going to come away with the take that I normally have, which is like, oh, there's still decent people in this world. There's still a lot of good people in this country. And of course, as a Christian, when I say a good person, I mean, like, my homie Jason here. He's a good dude. Like, that's the kind of good I mean. There's nobody good except God. But, someone like Kaylee, she likes Fanguli. That's based. Good people. There's a lot of good people in my family. There's a lot of good people, at my work, whom I work with. There's good people in our YouTube chat, like Mela. Good people. And I don't want to see the future that, like, we know we have in store for us. I don't want to see the economy collapsing. I don't want to see war. I don't want to see a draft coming back and us having to fight a Russian soldier for no reason. I don't want to see, this, for all of its ills and for all of its nonsense from the get-go. I don't want to see this American experiment just sort of crash and burn and get replaced with a globalist one world government, top-down tyranny. I don't want to see that. But then on the other side of that sword, it's like, I know that we deserve it. I know we deserve it. I know that our nation is, it's almost, if you think about it, like an oozing sore of degeneracy on the planet. It's like, it's so weird, man. It's like our main output, our main export is culture. It's movies, it's Hollywood, it's music, and that stuff is so toxic and polluted from the very base level of it, But then on the other hand, our legal system and our governance is like sort of like the shining beacon for the rest of the world. The civilized world looks, or at least they did, looks to America as like the peak of civilization and the sort of not the status quo, but sort of like the goal of like, wow, imagine if we had a country like post World War II America. Like that's the, we were the strongest country, and we were the sort of, I think it might have to do with the kind of people who settled the country and their sort of nature and their sort of culture. But, we were sort of like the big brother to the rest of the world, not in the 1984 way, but in the in the more wholesome way. And that is a what's the word? Sort of a rose-tinted glasses way of looking at it. That's the sort of old Hollywood way of looking at it, right? But it's also true. It's also true in its own way. And it just breaks my heart to see that fall apart. It breaks my heart to see that just become so riddled with parasites and become so corrupt. Uh, and to have people who are just so selfish and greedy destroy it for no reason other than their own gain, their own profit. It makes me feel bad for my ancestors. It makes me feel bad for the sacrifices of the people who came before us and the lives they lived and the things they did, to, again, like I said, for all of its ills and for all of its imperfections, pass us down a system where we have a say. We're not serfs. We're not peasants. we're human beings who have a say in how our government is run and who we put up there to represent us. And to see this experiment collapse the way it is just so sort of heartbreaking to me. Um, at the end of the day, as I said earlier, we're Orthodox Christians, and we know that this is only a temporary home at the end of the day. And so there is sort of that understanding of like, well, okay, I could literally have been born a slave in pre-Civil War times. I could have been born a slave and I could still achieve my salvation. I can still follow Christ. I can still be a holy, sanctified person. And so your circumstances will impact your crosses that God gives you, and they'll certainly make things harder or easier. But at the end of the day, we're all fighting the same fight, and whether you're a billionaire or whether you're a king or whether you're a slave, like we all have the same job to do, the same choices to make. Kayla says, it's super sad to think about the people who died for this country, thinking it was ensuring our freedom. Yeah, I agree. I agree. At times in the past, wars fought that actually were for our freedom, like the Revolutionary War. And we've talked a million times about the revolutionary spirit and the sort of revolution, and whether that's a good thing or that's a bad thing. And Orthodox Christians in general, at least the ones in our circle on the internet, we tend to have a anti-revolution and revolutionary take on things. I know a lot of people are like, oh, the revolution should have never been fought. That's neither here nor there. I'm not an expert on that time period. And certainly I think the spirit of revolution is the same spirit of Lucifer, right? I would have to agree with that. But for better or worse, this is how history has come to pass. This is how God's providence has allowed things to unfold. And I think that in a lot of ways, it's been to the benefit of humanity as a whole. I think in a lot of ways, it's been to the benefit. We now have a time where it's like, at the same time, we have all of this empowering technology. We have access to all of this information, which is empowering. And at the same time, we have the most corrupt democracy, republic that's ever existed. The most sort of corrupt and degenerate and toxic culture, I think, that probably any society's ever had. So it really feels like we're living in this country of a double-edged sword. Like, and I don't know if it's always like that everywhere throughout all history, but I don't know. I've always said the Matrix was right. Late 90s was the peak of our civilization. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, it all depends on the way that you look at it and the metrics you use to judge it. Like, I could look back in the 1800s and say that was the peak of our civilization. We had such a high culture, such a high level of sort of strength for the average individual, self-sufficiency, value, virtue. I guess it all depends on how we look at it, but the 90s certainly was the peak of culture in my lifetime. I can tell you that. Even coming out of the 90s, I was born in 1994, and so I experienced a little bit of the 90s, but really I didn't I always say I gained consciousness when I was 3. Those are for my earliest memories from 3 years old. And I was always like a little old soul. When I was like 9, I was always hanging out with the 16 and 17-year-olds and people who were older than me. My nickname growing up was the 8-year-old because I was always hanging out with groups of older teenagers and in high school and I was like the little kid running around trying to hang with everybody, and I could hang, which is why they welcomed me into their groups, and everybody would look at me and go, "Who's this freaking 8-year-old you got with you?" And so I developed the nickname the 8-year-old. Good to see you, Jethro. Shouts out to our homeboy Jethro, another good person. What up, slow boy whiteboard? She's driving. Well, drive safe, sister. Glad to see you here. Glad to see you here, Day Jire. Rex Christie, the future is fascist and technocratic, but the wheat and tares always grow together. It certainly seems that way, Rex. It certainly seems that way. And I don't want to say that that's for certain because, like we said last time, male guys here, like we said last time, it's not set in stone. It's like many monastics on Mount Athos have said that, the what we choose to do, and sorry, I'm sitting here like this. I'm just looking at the mail guy, see if he's dropping off my shirt. I'm waiting for a shirt delivery. What we choose to do, I believe, does have an impact on the length of this world. At the end of the day, I think if the people are pious, then God will give us more time. I think if the people, at the very least, are trying and are seeking the truth and are not full Sodom and Gomorrah, I think he'll give us more time. I don't necessarily believe that the end of the world is like right around the corner. Of course, I titled this video "It is later than we think" because I accept that that is a possibility, and that I feel like we're at a fork in the road right now, where if God allows this country to fall, if God allows us to the corruption to sort of win out, then I do believe that the American empire will fall. And so often, as Americans, we think like we're so focused on America, and it's like, well, yeah, America will fall, but then I've been thinking recently, well, what about Russia? What about China? What about all these other nations? I mean, we, as American people, we have this government, and we see the deep state, the sort of globalist agendas that have been playing out over the last few decades, and we've all been saying for years, like they're trying to destroy America, they're trying to collapse America. And I think if they're able to successfully do that, other nations will fall in line. And I don't think it's going to require as much of an effort. They've already started. The degeneracy has already spread. The sort of societal decay has already spread. And so they've already weakened so many other countries, Western and Eastern. But at the same time, I feel like they've probably also made some backdoor deals with like China or Russia, not like laid out the whole plan, but been like, you know, play ball. Remember who keeps the lights on around here, and you'll get your seat at the table. You'll be part of the new bourgeoisie class or whatever. I think that's a possibility. But I do think that the rest of the major nations will fall in line with a global government system if America falls. Um, then again, I think maybe Russia would be a roadblock to that system. I think if any nation, if any large nation would sort of want to oppose that, it would be the sort of Eastern bloc of countries, especially Russia. Maybe that's why they want to push us into a war with Russia. Maybe they're hoping that we'll sort of level each other out and make it that much easier to rebuild over it. And I also don't really give them that much credit. I think that they're sort of insane. I think that the people who, I called earlier parasites, this sort of parasite class, predator class we have in this country, which is nothing new. Other empires have had the same problem, and we can look through history and see the way that empires degrade and collapse over time. And it's a cliche and it's a meme now of, oh, Roman, Roman Empire or whatever. But I don't think it's a guaranteed that we'll go that way, but it's certainly looking like a very good possibility. And we're certainly seeing that pattern repeat right now. And we do have things in our corner. We do have advantages that, these societies in the past did not. Certainly our technology, our ability to inform the individual, on the individual level, like think of all the millions and millions of people that are in this country, like that most every person in this country can be informed to some degree, can develop some sort of conscious awareness of history or of, sort of the situation going on in their country. We're not dependent on the Pony Express to bring the one newspaper to our house in the morning to figure out what's going on. Um, we have advantages, but the same pattern is playing out again, and it just seems so needless. It seems so frustrating and needless to see this nation that is, again, for all of its ills, like there are benefits to it. There are virtues to it. There are good things about who we are as a country and who we are as a people. And it seems so needless to look into the near future and see the possibilities of what awaits us. And I really find it heartbreaking when I think about this. And so it's really sort of pushed me into a new place where I'm just fully trying to just pray every day, to give thanks for every moment that we have, to give thanks for every day that we have of peace, and to just like fully understand that like it's completely in God's hands. I'm gonna do my part in this election. I'm gonna vote. I haven't decided whether or not I'll do a poll watching or whatever, but I don't have any trust in our system. I don't have any trust in our democracy, and I also don't have any trust in the person I'm going to vote for. At the bottom line, that's one of the streams I wanted to do was we saw Trump just did a interview with some kid, Aiden Ross, and I never heard, full disclosure, no freaking clue who that guy is. Actually, before we get to that, let me check the chat so far. I want to see what people's saying. Everybody's saying hi to each other. The orthodox position is this could be good or this could be bad. Pray harder. Agreed, Rex. Agreed. Um, hey, I got mail today. EOB New Testament. What's EOB? English? Oh, Orthodox Bible? I don't know. English Orthodox Bible, I would guess. In third edition anthologian prayer book. Excited to get home. Nice, dude. Nice based. What's up, KF? Good to see you. What's up, Circle G? Good to see you. Nub, Dejire always said hi to y'all. Scrolling through. In January, we might get an Orange Revolution. By December, we might be in a Palantir Panopticon. I can make up words too. All right. I can make up words too to sound smart. I pray for mercy and that this cup would pass from our country. What's up, Marilyn? Good to see you. After hearing DPH talk about Christian torture, I'm so grateful to be living in this age. Agreed, agreed. And what's scary is it doesn't take that big of a jump or that extreme of a stretch of the imagination to see us living in a situation similar to that. I mean, certainly there are places in this world right now that Christians are being killed. I mean, in the Middle East right now, in Israel right now, right? In Israel, Palestine, that whole region over there. There are Christians who live, Orthodox Christians who live with the fear of death every day. And it's a very, real possibility that a bomb could fall on their head and destroy a historic church and an entire parish of Orthodox Christians. I mean, as Orthodox Christians, we're taught that every day is to be lived like our last day. That every day we should keep in mind that like this could be it. This could be it, and like I need to repent now. I need to pray now. I need to, do my best now. And so, in a way, you can look at living in a country like that or in a situation like that as a blessing, because all things at the end of the day are sent by God. All things that we go through are allowed to pass because God, in His wisdom and in His will, has deemed it fit to be so. It's printed by New Rome Press. It's a portable New Testament with a zipper cover. Nice, nice, dude. Yeah, I've got the Orthodox Study Bible, and then my grandmother, who is she was a Baptist. Now she's sort of like a non-denominational Christian, gave me this tiny little pocket Bible. I think it's just the New Testament, but so that one's sort of like a family thing, just something I have from my grandma. So yeah, awesome. I got a whole stack of Orthodox books that I'm like slowly making my way through. But that's really important that we have Orthodox books that we use to supplement our spiritual practices every day. Like, not only should we be praying, but we should be reading the lives of the saints and have a book that was, detailing the lives of a saint or such and such. Nice, man. One of the cool things about, speaking of out of print, one of the cool things about our parish is that we have a bunch of Father Seraphim Rose books there. And like even like the really expensive, like hard to find ones are there. So I keep telling Father Andrew, I'm like, that book's $1,000. That book's $600. That book's $900. You should lock them up, put them under lock and key. I believe he already did. And then you should sell them and use the money for the church. Then when they come back in print, because it's obviously a bubble right now, the Seraphim Rose bubble. I'm sure one day they're going to reprint those books and we'll be able to get it for $20 or $40. But right now it's like, but at the same time, that's also kind of wrong to sell those books for that much. I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, they are scarce, so it just seems sort of wrong. But anyways, back to the point. It seems so needless to see the destruction that could befall our people. And I look at the situation going on our sorry, let me wait for the plane. Freaking planes. I look at this this sort of Trump situation going on right now, and it seems there's just this great injustice to it that I see. And I've talked in our previous streams about sort of the way that we view people who are politicians or who are in the public eye, depending on what your filter is or what the lens is that you're looking at them or that you're critiquing them or analyzing them through, is going to shape or can shape your overall opinion of the person. We were talking with Maddie, Digital Minefield. Go subscribe to Digital Minefield. He was in our chat the other day, and he said, look, Kamala Harris, President Trump, it's both sides of the same coin, specifically referring to Wall Street. And I was like, well, yeah, if you look at it through the lens of Wall Street, then it's two sides of the same coin. But that's ignoring all these other variables that exist and all these different policies and different thought processes and different goals, different soul to their entire campaign. Like, if you ignore all of those things and look at just Wall Street, or as many people in our circle, just Israel, or just warp speed, or whatever the issue is with Trump, if you look at it through certain context, then it seems like it's the same. But there's a lot more to it that we need to take into consideration. There seems to be this great injustice to me that I spend so much time just because I find this stuff fascinating. I enjoy it. It's a sort of sick form of entertainment. I now feel like it's kind of sick, considering the context of sort of the history that we are living through right now and seeing where it could potentially go. I kind of feel like this is like a sick form of entertainment that I enjoy, watching news, watching interviews with the candidates, and watching the speeches and the rallies and whatnot. Definitely stakes are high, but like this interview that Trump did with this kid, Aiden Ross. No clue who he is, no idea what his channel's about or how he's got popular. Apparently, he's got like 4.5 million subscribers. And he had Trump on yesterday, and they did a whole live stream together, 2 hours long. This kid ended up giving him a Cybertruck with this picture on it and all this stuff that's been in the news. You've probably seen it. But like, how many people will sit here and talk to you about Trump or politics, and they'll give you their opinion? How many people have YouTube channels or have big meme pages or have big Facebook pages, have a platform where they're talking about Orthodox Christianity, they're talking to Orthodox Christians, or they're talking to people who see through the manipulation of mass media, who see through the agendas that are pushed, the sort of toxic signal that is beamed out to the people of the West and really the whole world. They'll tell you their opinion on Trump, or whether they think that he's good guy, bad guy. It's all nonsense. It's all theater. How many of them actually watch the interviews? How many actually watch the Senate hearings? How many actually watch and keep up to date with the news? Very few. And I think that that's like really dangerous, and I think that that's really, what's the word, irresponsible. Because whether or not we like it or not, we are all influenced by the things that we hear, the people we talk to, the opinions that we allow to sort of uh, enter our ears, which is why our ears are sealed, during our chrismation. Harris took the stand today, and now it's missing. Dude, give it back, bro. I gotta go return some videotapes. Keep up the good work, Jerry. That sounds like an excuse, bro. I don't know if there's any videotape stores left, but as a collector of VHS, I do also respect it. So, peace out. Peace out, Girl Scout. Um, Very few people actually do the due diligence needed to have a informed and educated view on these things. Doesn't mean you can't have an opinion on it. Doesn't mean you can't, express your thoughts on the matter. I think we should, but at least have the humility to recognize, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. This is my slow boy take. And as somebody like myself that follows this stuff way too closely, probably more closely than I should, I try to give that same caveat that I'm a slow boy, that I don't know what I'm talking about. But I can tell you guys that all the conversations I have in private with content creators, with other Orthodox Christians in real life, online, most of the people that I talk to either share my same view on this, but don't really want to say it as clearly as I do, or they start off not sharing the same view, and then when I talk to them, they end up like, seeing where I'm coming from, and are like, yeah, okay, I get it. So it's just sort of frustrating. I watched the first 5 minutes of a Father Peter Here's video today. He just made a clip with Maria Z, and they were talking about voting and elections from an Orthodox Christian perspective. And Father Peter here shared the two sides that he's seen. He's like, some people think you should take a hands-off approach and not engage whatsoever. And there's saints and quotes from saints that you can sort of use to justify that position. And then the other side are people who think that, and have quotes of saints on their side, sort of saying that you should vote for the least bad candidate. You should vote for the least evil, and the least evil outcome for the people, which I definitely fall on that side of the argument. Those are definitely the two sides that I've seen. I've seen a lot of people take the view that we should take a hands-off approach, and I don't think that there's any reason why we should do that. I think that what that is that's not piety. I think that's cowardice. And I don't mean that if you're the kind of person who doesn't want to vote that there aren't valid reasons for that. I think there are valid reasons for that. I know a lot of people in my own church who have that view, in my own parish that have that view. And they're valid. I mean, the federal system is so bad. It's so bad. And so many of the decent people in this country who I'm talking about, the decent people who are actually pretty educated and informed on the history of this country and on all of the nastiness that has happened, so many of those people are at a point, even myself, I was at that point recently where I was like, I'm not ever voting again, like not ever giving any of my energy to this system ever again. And again, it's valid. It's a valid take. And I think that that's part of the injustice that I see, is that, like, those are the people who we need. Those are the people who an anti-establishment candidate is counting on to vote. It's like, well, look at all these people in this country. There's so many decent people who see through this BS. And then on the other side, the most uneducated, the most sort of vicious people are so energized and are so motivated to, go and lobby or to go and work for the DNC or the RNC. Just the worst people they seem to be so motivated. I said last stream, I think that's because they're lacking the sort of wholesome value system of, like, wanting to put your energy into raising a family or, like, living a good life. And I think that sort of has something to do with it. Let me just hit my mute real quick. I got to... All right, sorry about that. Thank you guys for putting up with the porch stream, dude. The porch streaming. We got planes flying overhead. We got people walking by. So I appreciate you guys putting up with that. I wish I could talk to a content creator, but all numbers that call my phone, I answer, then no one responds, then hang up. You're being gang stalked, dude. The government is literally sending secret agents to your house, and they're gang stalking you. You guys experience that? Gang stalking? Every schizophrenic person that's ever messaged me always brings up the gang stalking. Um, yeah, I hope you figure that out, Grant. God bless, brother. Anyways, I see this sort of injustice to this where it's just I can't fault people for not wanting to engage in the system. I can't fault people for having no sort of belief that it could work out in a way that isn't completely for the establishment's favor. Uh, I don't think that that's an excuse, though, or worthy enough of an excuse to not try or to not do that little bit that we can. Man, my phone's just blowing up today. Um, I don't think that that's a good enough excuse. I think that that is not piety, but it's cowardice. It's like it's either cowardice to not want to speak something that you think is going to be unpopular or that you're unsure if people are going to agree with you on or not, or it's cowardice because you're frightened of the situation. And we have this normalcy bias where most of our lives, things have been a dumpster fire in this country. Most of our lives, things have been, you turn on the news every day and it's like, oh, things are worse than they were yesterday. But at the same time, our general life and our general sort of go to work, go to school, come home, mess with the computer, watch YouTube, go to the movies. It really hasn't been impacted that heavily. Things are more expensive, food's gotten more expensive, and there were moments where it super heavily impacted our lives. The riots breaking out. I don't even know how long ago that was now, but I remember people rolling up to my work, guys I worked with getting dropped off at work, and they had a shotgun on their lap because all the riots breaking out. Or like, COOF 19. That was a moment when things got very real and things impacted our lives very heavily. But for the most part, the sort of Overton window shifting and the sort of general sort of pattern of decline going on has been visible, but hasn't really manifested in like massive shifts. But it's got to eventually. We know it has to eventually. And sorry, I'm just rambling, so I sort of lost my where I was going with that. But the point is that I think that that's eventually gonna come to a head, and things are going to really shift. And I think that this normalcy bias that we've developed, where we can just sort of ignore it and whatever happens happens. I just it seems very foolish, and it's kind of scary that we all sort of find ourselves in this place where what we do and the lives we live matter so much more to the nation's health, to the world's health, and by world I mean the people, the general communities, and the things that happen than who we vote for or who's our representative in our government or in our local government. People want to sit here and say, well, I would vote for Trump. I don't like, the New World Order. I don't like the globalists, but, Trump's, his position on abortion isn't as strong as I would want him to be. I agree. I wish we could ban abortion. I wish it was completely illegal in the entire country. And if we had a nation of pious people, if we had a nation of Christians, if we had a nation of good, honest people, he wouldn't be saying that. His abortion position that he campaigns on, right? That like if somebody asked him, oh, I think a woman should be able to have an abortion up till 6 weeks, and in cases of rape, incest, and bodily harm to the mother, right? That wouldn't be his position if it didn't have to be his position. If he wants to win, that has to be his position. If he does what we want him to do and say, nope, we're going to federally mandate, federally ban abortion, I think abortion should be banned. I also agree it should be a state's issue because that's the system we have. And it should be a state's issue. He did a good thing. He gave it back to the states. He's the reason why some states now have banned abortion. Glory to God. That saves lives. That's a good thing. We should want that. But because people... I got to answer this phone. Hang on. My goodness, dude. We're going full amateur mode tonight. Anyways, what the hell was I saying? What the hell was I saying? Very popular guy, biggest guy. I'm a couple minutes behind. All right. I totally forgot what the hell I was talking about. It's getting phones ringing every 2 days. But okay, now I remember. Every 2 seconds. Um, it matters more the people that we have in our society and what we expect from our government, how we live and order our lives, the faith and the piety and the virtue and the values that we have. That will then ripple out, obviously, as we know, and affect the people around us. If we are more pious, if we are more Christian, then the people in our neighborhoods, the people in our communities will just naturally be elevated and will be drawn towards that. And as time goes on, it's like that has a massive impact. So we sit here and we're critiquing and sort of looking from this perfectionist viewpoint of like, yeah, I would support this guy, but his thing isn't as strong as I. It's like that's just not how this works, dude. Like the majority of people in this country are not at that place yet. There are so many people who view abortion as healthcare. There are so many people who view abortion as like a normal part of society because that's what their education system has taught them. That's what their family or their friends have taught them. That's what their culture has taught them. And so we're in this system where like a person cannot just run for president and play to a niche, a small niche like us and expect to win. He can't. And so every time you see something come out, like that RFK phone call that was leaked, where he's talking to Trump, and Trump's like, yeah, they're giving these babies these jabby jabs, and it's terrible, and they're having bad reactions, and you already know, like, his autism, like, every time you see behind the curtain a little bit, you're like, oh, this guy's, like, way more based than he would ever say in public. But he can't say that stuff because he's trying to win. And so my point is that it's like if we want to sit here and if we want to say, oh, I want our leaders to have this or that policy, or I don't want to support anybody, it's like it's on you, it's on us. Look in the mirror and realize that like it's our responsibility to live those lives. It's our responsibility to live a good Christian life so that we're an example for others, and so that our life and our spirituality and the amount of grace that we receive can be given to others and can elevate the society we live in. This is a gift that we've been given in a sense, this horrifically degenerate culture, because it just makes God's light that much more bright. It just makes that God's light in the Orthodox faith that much more appealing to people who have been immersed and grown in this petri dish of mold, that this culture really is. Affirmative, the plan is in progress. They are watching now. What my camera is on. Yeah. Very popular guy. Vince on YouTube. That's not my brother. So it's frustrating to me because it's so convoluted, the sort of atmosphere around this election, because we've had 8 years leading up to this point and so many different narratives, so many different ways that events have been spun, and so many different emotional sort of mix-ups that our culture and the media and the worst people in our country have created. You've got the sort of QAnon cult of personality around Trump, which has just been so damaging. Oh, what's up, Vinny? What's up, Vinny? My brother Vinny here was just baptized last Thursday. Glory to God. Everybody please pray for Vinny. And since, Vinny, you were just baptized and communed, it's your job to pray for all of us, since you are literally like coming out of the grace of baptism. So please pray for all of us as well, Vinny. Again, losing my train of thought. Okay, to get back on my point, the narrative around Trump, what we expect from our leaders, what we want to see happen, all of these different forces are coming into play, and everybody's sort of been so in their niche and so in their specific sort of worldview and their specific lens that they view it on. How many of us found Orthodox Christianity, and before we were Orthodox Christian, were going down every other rabbit hole about conspiracies or about politics or about history, and you saw through and you saw a pattern emerge, and you saw, okay, so there is something to the sort of New World Order, there is something to the sort of globalism. And then you went so far down that rabbit hole and got so immersed in politics, maybe even in the 2016 Trump politics, or you got sort of sucked into QAnon, or you got sucked into these different things. And then you found Orthodox Christianity, and it sort of saved you from that. And then people walk away and say, okay, so that means hands off, no more. Not going to engage at all. You mean Trump won't win if he names the... Yeah, exactly. And it's not even... It's beyond that. It's that he literally supports them. Like, he literally thinks that, like, that's the right thing to do. It's like... And if you watch interviews with this guy and you actually see who he is, you can understand why he thinks that. He's not an Orthodox Christian. He's not somebody like Jay Dyer who like knows about all of this stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, this is the... I'm going to really try to make it clear. I feel like I'm having a hard time explaining what I'm trying to say, but... You know, watching that interview with Aiden Ross and Trump gives you such a good view of the kind of person he is. The way he answers some of those questions. The way he responds to certain things. And that's one of the streams I wanted to do, was sort of to watch that. We might play a few bits to show you what I'm talking about later. I don't know, probably not, but we might. Seeing sort of his genuine reactions to questions in long-form interviews, long-form conversations with some kid streamer. This has never happened before. We've never had like a window into a political candidate that was that crystal clear. To give you that much context, to give you that much information. A 2-hour video where he's freaking golfing with some dude talking about music and stuff. Like, there's no excuse to not be able to look at that and to watch these things. And you have so much information now to make up your mind and to sort of see who the guy is. So, for example, on this subject, it's like, if you were to put somebody like Jay Dyer in the room with Trump. Trump didn't grow up in a time where he could watch YouTube live streams and he could watch people who were super smart and super informed on and specialized in their niche and learn all of these different things in, you know, a year of listening to lectures and whatnot. And so now he's got the sort of kind of bird's eye view that a lot of us have of, in general, the sort of how we got to this point and what the plan is going forward. And so, from his mind, it's probably Palestine, Israel. Who do I support? Well, we always support Israel, and Israel's great, and the Jewish people love me, and the Jewish people support my campaign. We love the Jewish people. And the Muslim, the terrorists, and this and that. And that's just as simple as it is. They're our greatest ally, guys. It's like, you really going to sit here and throw out everything else that he stands for and everything else that he believes in because he's got a terrible take? He's got an uninformed and uneducated take. That's his take, and it's ridiculous. But again, like I said last stream, it's like a boomer uncle that was like, turn the Middle East into glass. It's like, yeah, that's a terrible take. He's also a great uncle. He's also a wonderful person, a good father, a good uncle, a great, you know, family person, there for you when you're down. But he's got a shitty take, you know? He's not very informed. I was joking about the phone call and the Gangstar comments earlier. That was a good opportunity. Yeah. It's frustrating. It's frustrating because you hear him answer some of these questions in this interview, and it's like they're talking about stealing the election. They're talking about all of the potential sort of nonsense. And he genuinely seems like he really believes that, like, he's just going to play a fair game, and he'll win. That's his position. Like, he can't stop them from cheating. He can't stop them from rigging it, from messing around, just like they did in 2020. So he really is just like, well, most people support me, and so I'm just going to campaign and hopefully win. And that is such a terrifying thought that, like, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do about the system. You want to play a rigged game to beat the rigged game, to fix the rigged game. That's sort of the plan. It's like, yeah, this thing's rigged, so I'm going to play, and I'm going to win, and then I'm going to fix it. That's his plan. And it's scary. You can tell by the way he answers these questions that he really does, like, understand that it is more about what we do. It's more about what we accept. You know, he just said in that interview, "Oh, I don't think people should use Google anymore. It's terrible what Google's doing." You know, Google's like the main way that they enforce and fortify elections. Literally, like just by messing around with their tools on Google, they're able to change millions of votes. And he's like, yeah, people shouldn't use Google. They should boycott Google. Such a simple thing, such like a an obvious thing. Like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't support the companies which, you know, literally work and fight to keep us without a voice, to keep us, you know, powerless in our own homes. And yet, the thought that people would do that, and that we live in a world right now where people would actually make a sacrifice like that is crazy. Like I'm talking to you right now on YouTube, a company owned by Alphabet, you know, owned by the people that run Google. It's like, what are the chances that people are going to boycott Google? What are the chances that people are actually going to like do the things that our great grandfathers would have done? Now, yeah, if you put them here today, they'd probably be the same way that we are, because it's just humanity. It's just the human sort of nature that it's comfortable, it's convenient, things are the way they are, and it's tough to want to make sacrifices to fix things. And so that's another sort of the thing contributing to my black pill sort of feelings about these is just to know that, like, man, you know, there's so many things that we should do that there's just not a good chance that we're going to see done. It's tough to think about. We have to pray and trust God when he says he raises up leaders. God's will be done either way. He will care for us. Yes, he will. And that's how I started this stream. So my thoughts on Elon. Great question. Great question. So Elon, I haven't watched as much things of him talking, interviews he's given. I've seen plenty. You know, I saw the famous interview he did with Joe Rogan back in the day. I remember I watched that right when it came out. While all that controversy was going on, because he took a puff of marijuana and all of that stuff. I watched Elon's interview with AJ. I watched Elon's interview with JBP. I've you know followed his X account. I've seen many videos and comments, and I've watched many videos from years ago talking about his early life, his history, his family, his father, his mother, all of that stuff. And all of that stuff is important. You know, whenever we're talking about a person, like when you have access to that information and there's a bunch of red flags and there are a bunch of shady stuff, and then you see he's the #1 military contractor, like these are all important things that we can't ignore. But people can change. People are human beings. People can grow. People can learn. We shouldn't just accept that if a person says they've changed. We shouldn't just accept that, obviously. You wouldn't do that in your own life. When you've been lied to, the people who lied to you, it becomes much harder for them to lie to you and trick you because you know that they're liars, right? And so these are variables and information that we should keep in our minds. And so when it comes to somebody like Elon, there's a lot of things against him that would lead me to say, okay, I'm going to have my eyebrow raised, and everything he says to me, I'm going to look at it deeper, right? For instance, the interview he did with Jordan B. Peterson, I watched Jim Bob afterwards do a stream where he was sort of breaking it down. He was talking about, he was critiquing the mind virus idea, and he felt like Elon was sort of blaming wokeism. From what I watched of Jim Bob's show, I didn't see all of it, so forgive me if I mischaracterized, but it seemed to him that Elon was blaming wokeism on the fact that his son was taken from him, that his son, as he says, is dead because he's literally transitioned and you know, turned himself into a eunuch or whatever. And Jim Bob was rightly critiquing, like, no, it's not wokeism. Who gave him the pills? Who gave him the hormone pills, dude? You know, it's like, take some accountability. Like, you did it, you know? And you can blame wokeism. You can blame the culture. All those things certainly played a part. But, like, at the end of the day, it's on you. You're the one who gave him the pills. Um, and Jim Bob, again, it's been a while since I watched that stream, but he talked about how, you know, how can these people be so, he said something like, how can they not see, like, some of these things? And put a comment in there where I said, people are where they are. It's like it's the ladder of divine ascent, right? For Orthodox Christians, from the bottom to the top, and that pattern sort of plays out in other ways. The way that we view reality, the way that we view the world, that's like a ladder too. That's like a spectrum too. And some people really are far back there. Some people haven't gone through the same things that we have, haven't learned the same lessons that we have. They can be all the way at the tippy top of society. They can be billionaires. They can be all of these things, but they still have lessons to learn to show them different things in the world. It seems to me, long story short, that Elon has made progress. It seems to me that Elon has changed his values, changed the way that he views the world. It changed his priorities, so to speak. And I think that we have seen countless examples of that same thing happening with celebrities and with people at a higher rung of society. Uh, it's like a common thing that we see now. Celebrities, David Spade, Rob Schneider, uh, all of these different people. Okay, I'm just shutting my phone off, dude. All of these different celebrities who you never would have heard anybody talk talk about COOF or any of these issues before, because that's their paycheck. You never would have heard them talk about it. Now they do. Partially is because they've created their own platforms. They don't need Hollywood. They don't need the Hollywood system to make their money. But the other part of it is that it's just become so on its face evil. It's become so on its face destructive, so on its face negative and harmful to them as individuals, not only to the rest of the world. So we see so many times this pattern repeat of people who were once part of the system and got their slice of the pie to say the narratives, play along, or maybe just keep your mouth shut. If you don't want to play dancing monkey, just keep your mouth shut. Don't say certain things. Who now are out there talking about these things. I think Elon's a perfect case of that. I think he's somebody who, you know, knew Obama or whatever. Man, I saw that famous picture of him and Obama and all these different things. But who now, speaks out to the best of his ability, to the best of his power, to try to do what he thinks is right. He's not an Orthodox Christian, and so he's not gonna be expressing things the way we want to hear him express it. He's not going to have the fullness of God's revelation to sort of be able to accurately analyze the world, and we can't expect him to have that. We can't expect him to have a full understanding of these things because he's just not there yet. And so I think that people really are unfair in the way that they analyze famous people. They're really unfair in the way that they analyze people like Trump or people like Elon Musk because they view it through the eyes of an Orthodox Christian. But we're not talking about Orthodox Christians. We're talking about people who are on their own path, and they might be, 600 miles away from the truth, but they just gained a mile. Like, glory to God. They literally took the step in the right direction. Glory to God. At the same time, his picture on Twitter was like him with a Baphomet jacket on. Like, yeah, that's another one of those things, another one of those red flags that would make me go, okay, I'm gonna watch this guy closely. Like, is he just playing the part? Is he playing the part of opposition to the establishment? I don't think he is. I don't think he's firm one way or the other. I think a lot of people at that level, he has money, he has power, he has wealth. He knows which way the wind blows. And if he thinks that there is a chance that the opposition to this globalist system could win, I think he will put his stock in with that group. If tomorrow the winds blow and there's no chance in hell that they're winning, I think he'll shut the hell up and get in line and play ball. I don't think he's a hero. I don't think Trump's a hero. I don't think these guys are, warriors for truth. But I do think that I'm seeing progress and I'm seeing them grow as people. Trump, on the other hand, I think he's just old enough at this point. He's close enough to death, and he's experienced his own mortality now to where he really doesn't care. I don't think that he will sell out to the globalists knowingly. I think he'll make deals when he shouldn't, and I think he'll let people off when he shouldn't, and I think he won't be as hard as he should be. But at this point, he seems like he's got no reason to play ball. And there's also a very good chance that he's going to be in prison. What's up, RIP? Good to see you. There's also a very good chance he's going to be in prison during the election or on the election. That certainly seems to be the way that this is going now. I think it would be a mistake for the opposition to do that, but that's on the table. Black pills are better than blue pills. That's true. All right, what's people saying up in the house? We got the moldy John Connor up. We have both John Connors here. Amazing. Elon is king technocrat, and they are pragmatic by nature. When the gender malarkey arose, he probably just saw it as purely utilitarian move. We just chop the ween and give the pills. Yeah, could be. Or he could have been fooled. I mean, that fooled a lot of people, and the people at the highest level are not, reptiles. They're human beings with the same emotions and the same manipulability. I don't know, the same ability to be manipulated as people on our level. And so they fooled a lot of people with that nonsense, dude. I mean, I know people in my own life who are like good, decent people who are like pro-trans and stuff. And you see that and you shake your head, being us, knowing what we know and going like, but that's the opposite. I get where you're coming from. Like, good for you. You love people. That's glory to God. I'm glad you love people. I'm glad you don't judge people. I'm glad you just, you want people to be happy. But like, that is like the wrong path. That's not leading to happiness. That's not leading to health. That's not leading to truth or to God. That's literally driving you the opposite direction. But that doesn't make them a bad person because they're coming from a good place. And so I think we just need to be charitable. I think we need to be charitable for people who are far down the ladder that way, but who are heading in the right direction, or they have a good heart and they're trying to do the right thing with the information that they have. And I think in our sort of coming from our world, our circle of the internet, the path that many of us have shared, I think we're far less charitable than we should be. I think we're way more critical of people, and we're way more. We have way higher expectations for people than we should. And I think it would serve us all well to sort of have that constant reminder that number one, we're worse than everybody else. Number two, we have this amazing gift that God has allowed us to find the true faith, that God has given us the fullness of revelation to inform our minds, that we have been given this great gift of the sacraments to clean our nous, to clean our soul, which just, exponentially makes things easier to see and to understand in the world. Okay, I'm glad you mentioned Rittenhouse. I wanted to talk about that too. I'm with Rittenhouse, writing in Ron Paul. I'm with her. Dude, everybody was jumping on Kyle Rittenhouse the other day. I watched the Kyle Rittenhouse trial so freaking closely, dude, when it was going down. I watched that whole trial. I'm sure a lot of you guys did. And then people, what am I trying to say here? People were talking about him recently the other day because he made some post, which was totally a valid take. He showed the list of things Trump did that, Second Amendment people that like the Second Amendment didn't like, that they criticized him for. And he said, look, you want to criticize the left and the Democrats for their gun-grabbing policies, but let's just use the same standard. Let's not have double standards. Let's critique Trump for doing that, which we should do. You should critique both sides, dude, because they're going to do what they can do. They're going to do what they need to do, and it's our job to push back. It's our job to accept or to reject what they do, to demand a certain behavior from our leaders. Like, that's the way our system's supposed to be set up. That, if you don't like what the people are doing, don't vote for them. If you don't like what the people are doing, write them letters. Express your, distaste with what they do. And we shouldn't have a two-tier sort of double standard. Well, apparently, all of the sort of MAGA movement or whoever talked to, a lot of people jumped on him and said, we don't like that you posted that, and then he flip-flopped on it. Next day, he's like, look, I support Trump. I'm voting for Trump, yada, yada, yada. I didn't read all the tweets very closely, but basically he backpedaled on it. And then I saw a lot of people say, well, how much did they pay you? How much did they pay you, Kyle? Like, you're flip-flopping on your values. I think that it's just the situation that we have in this country right now. The possibility of where we could go if he loses is so terrifying. I'm not gonna lie. It's terrifying, dude. It's even if he wins, it's terrifying because we have such malicious and malevolent forces in this country working against us. Like, forget about Trump. Like, it's about us. that it's terrifying for a lot of people, like if he loses. And so I don't think it's a matter of somebody paid Kyle Rittenhouse to take it back. I think, I saw a picture with him and Ramaswamy, shortly after that, and I think he probably talked to Ramaswamy and people who are close to the Trump team and said, "Yo, you realize like we're literally trying to fight like." I'm going to use my terminology. We're trying to fight Satan here, right? Like, I get, like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that, and, like, you're right, but, like, bad timing, bro. We're literally trying to win an election from the globalists, from the deep state. Maybe don't counter signal right now, brother. And he probably saw that pragmatic point of like, yeah, actually, clearly I do endorse this candidate. Clearly I do want this guy to win. So maybe I won't counter signal right now. Maybe I'll wait till he gets elected and then do that. You know, that's the way that I'm assuming it went down. He could have gotten paid off. I mean, it's not like that's against his morals. As soon as the trial was over, he seemed to get in bed with Con Inc. pretty quickly. So, you know. Anyway, so what's RIP saying? Waste your vote on your principles? How about voting Trump and properly criticize it? Yeah, exactly. I mean, I agree. I agree. God wants mercy from us first and foremost, not sacrifice. The cup we have to keep clean is our own. Agreed. True that. That's just like what happened here in Arizona. Our Senator Wadsack, what a name, Wadsack, got voted out for a lobbyist because they campaigned against her for not voting for Senate terms. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's just chaos, dude. It's like people sometimes lose sight of the big picture. And gosh, as corrupt as our federal government is, as corrupt as like the top of it is, the lower rungs of it are almost worse. They really are almost worse. Um, my point is, I guess, out of all of this is that, right, like I titled the video, it's later than we think. At the end of the day, it's in God's hands. And my advice to you is, yes, please, for the love of God, vote. It's literally 2 seconds, dude. And please, what's more important than that is, like, please, for the love of God, pray for our country, pray for our people, and, like, just go hard. Like our buddy John Connor is saying here, like, keep your own cup clean. That has so much more to do with how these things play out than voting. It has so much more to do with how our nation carries forth into the future than voting. But that also has an impact. And if we do both of those things, whatever happens, we'll endure it and we'll live through it. But I don't want to give up, and I don't want to just sort of step back. And I'm really trying to use, my tiny little platform to try to push out this message of just common sense and pragmatism and, like, reminding people, like, it can get so bad, it can get so bad. Even if we win this election, it very likely is still going to get bad, but we at least will have a fighting chance, I don't know, man. I wanted to, one of the streams I wanted to do recently, I wanted to show you this interview, this episode of the PBD podcast where they brought on that sheriff, that sheriff people always like to share the clips of. What is his name? Grady Judd? Is that his name? Grady Judd? If you come into our citizen's house, I'm telling them to blow you away. That guy. They had, they had him on Patrick Bet David, and they were talking to him. And this was another great example of the boomer uncle thing that I've been talking about the last two shows, where this guy seems like a great guy. He seems based, he seems wonderful, seems like a good old-fashioned American sheriff, the best kind, right? But the whole time he's sharing like the most naive takes, the most naive takes. And he has valid points, he brings up good points. But I did want to watch that and do a sort of a watch along of that and comment on it. But I'm probably not going to do that. I'm just going to sort of mention here that people know what they know. They operate within the frameworks of their own perception and their own worldview. And he thinks that there's just no way that the shooting could have been, a stand down by the Secret Service. Why? Because he's a sheriff and he's seen deputies who are completely incompetent and fumble the ball many times. And so he's like, it just happens so much. I don't think that this is, a conspiracy. I think that it's just incompetence. I can understand why he thinks that. I can understand how his life would bring him to that point. I also understand that is like the most naive take that a person can have. What's up, Mono? Good to see you, brother. You see that creepy ace slow boy whiteboard shared about Kamala? No, I didn't. Let me pull it up on YouTube right now. Did Slows drop a new video? We'll watch it. Let me look it up. Because I'm nearing the end here. I really just did this show because I wanted to vent about sort of how frustrating this is getting for me, like watching the news, watching all of this play out, and realizing, like, dude, like, the guy we have up here right now, who is the best hope for sort of, at the very least, throwing a monkey wrench into the globalist schemes for this country, he's not the guy I wish we had. I wish we had somebody who, like, really understood the opposition, who really understood that they're not going to let you play a fair game. Like, you're not going to play a fair game. They're not going to play a fair game. All right? The table is rigged, 100%. The recent predator poachers catch where the cops dropped the ball and the guy, oh my goodness, no, I did not. I love, I always forget this guy's name, dude. I always want to say Ethan Ralph. I don't know why I always want to say that. What the hell? Could you tell me his name? I always forget it, dude. But I love that guy, the Predator Poachers guy. Okay, she just linked it in the community tab. Sweet. All right, I'm looking it up now. Got it. All right, let's pull it up. All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to share the screen. Yeah, I always forget that dude's name.
It's my true, distinct pleasure to introduce the first senator,
Alex Rosen.
I'm not going to say this, the first senator of Indian American heritage in the history of U.S. Senate.
So it's been a really long week. And I'm really glad to be here.
Oh, dear God. Okay, what's this video called? Fact checkers tried to bury this from the internet? Okay, and what's the gist on this? I was actually just having a conversation with somebody about the whole Indian American thing, and some people are saying they think it's like a trap, so to speak, the whole focusing on her race, because, you know, she's half black, half Indian, and a lot of people are saying, you know, look, the girl's got no accomplishments. She's got insane policies. She's got all of these sort of Marxist policies. She is the most far left, you know, of anybody. She's the worst possible candidate. Focus on those things which are actually crushing and which actually might be able to speak to the rationality of people on the other side. But when we're focusing on her race, like, you know, the Democrats, like, are gonna, it's gonna turn her into a martyr for those people, you know. And I do see that that's a valid critique people are making. But it's also a good example of how insincere this woman is. That, you know, I mean, I literally told the person I was talking to, I said, if being a Crip could get her elected, she would walk on stage with a blue do-rag and a basketball jersey. Like, legitimately. Like, she's not anything. She's whatever she has to be. And also, at the same time, if you go to her website, like, on Trump's campaign website, he's got, like, the whole Agenda 47, all of his list of policies that he's going to enact when he gets elected to fix and help the country. You go to Kamala's website, and there's no policies. There's absolutely none. And us talking about that, and so many people talking about that, I think we're going to see her update the website soon. I think that, you know, it seems to be this is the way it plays out. They do this horrible crap, and then the you know, our side sort of barks and makes fun of them and points out all the ways that they suck, and then they fix it, and it's like we're just helping them. We're just giving them advice on how to beat us, you know. But also, she's got no policies up there because they're not actually trying to win the election. They're going to fortify the election. Oh, there's no black at all.
I want to thank you.
Really? Her birth certificate says Caucasian. Her father's nationality was Jamaican, not a descendant of slaves, a literal slave owner himself. I do know about the slave owner heritage. So, I mean, but Jamaicans are black, though. You know, I know that they're not like American black. They're not slave black, but like, isn't that black still? I don't know. I get what you're saying, though.
And my chitti is here, my mother's youngest sister, Chinni Mahalakshmi Subhash is here, and I want to thank her. She flew in from Toronto to be with us this evening. Please, Chitti, will you wave?
I have been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the voting rights. Do you believe
Abraham Lincoln sucked, but the blacks love me. 4 out of every 5 black people, they vote Trump. Yo, the power move he did here where he tightened the girl's water bottle super tight, that was hilarious. You got to give him props for that. That was good.
Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear.
All right, let's see this here. So this is her birth certificate. Listed as Caucasian, Berkeley, Donald, Jamaican. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean the old pictures of her, you know, I mean she's a person with no values. She's a person who doesn't believe in anything. She's literally just a puppet of the organization, of the institution behind her, and she's a freaking chameleon. She's going to change depending on what she thinks is going to win her the vote. And I think honestly, like most black people, at least like in general that I know in my life, like don't fall for it. Every Hispanic person I know is pro-Trump. Every black person I know is pro-Trump. And that's just my point, is like, it's like this, I hate to be like that guy, but they're just fortifying elections, guys. They're just making them extra safe and extra secure. It's like, I truly believe that if we had a election system that actually functioned properly, without Google manipulating it, without, you know, the old school tactics of cheating, I think like this country would be like a completely different landscape. The people who are in all branches of government would be different, you know. I think that they really do just rig it, like hardcore. So that's very frustrating. Now what's this? What's this? Yeah. What all this, little boy? Little boy.
Goes to Georgia 2 days ago. They don't give
as a foundation of black.
All right.
The former president's comments yesterday to the National Association of Black Journalists, where he said that Vice President Harris is, quote, all of a sudden black. As a father of 3 biracial children, did those comments give you pause at all?
They don't give me pause at all. Look, all he said is that Kamala Harris is a chameleon. She goes to Georgia 2 days ago. She was raised in Canada. She puts on a fake Southern accent. She is everything to everybody, and she pretends to be somebody different depending on which audience she's in front of. I think it's totally reasonable for the president to call that out, and that's all he did. I mean, look, she's running as a tough-on-crime prosecutor, even though she implemented open border policies. She's saying that she wants to support the police, yet she wanted to defund the police just 3 years ago. It's totally reasonable to call out the fact that she pretends to be somebody different depending on the audience she's talking to.
But I mean, what we know in particular when you're talking about the South Asian community, we're talking about the Indian community more specifically, it is a growing community in the United States in terms of its voting bloc, in terms of its participation, and I think the party knows that and knows that this is part of our collective community, and there needs to be outreach and inclusion.
And certainly you could become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Knock wood.
Kamala Harris, Attorney General.
Kamala Harris, California's Attorney General, has also made history, becoming the first Indian American woman to be elected to the U.S. Senate. Harris has entered the Senate race after Barbara Boxer announced her intention to retire. The Democrat became an early frontrunner in a crowded primary field. She was born in Oakland, California, is the daughter of an Indian mother who emigrated from Chennai in 1960 and a Jamaican American father.
Black woman.
Okay, that's fine. I agree with that. I agree with that. But is she African American? No. But is she African American? There is a difference. There's nothing wrong with that. No one is trying to take anything away from her.
Let's go down into her lineage.
I think you're falling. I think you're falling into the trap of that. All she had to do was say, "I am black, but I'm not African American." That's it.
John, I'm not falling in a trap. I'm not falling in. Let me finish. Hold on. I'm not falling into a trap by that. When she goes down her lineage, many Africans landed in Jamaica and all these other Caribbean islands. So she could indeed
Jamaica's
be
not America.
African American mixed with other races. But she is
Jamaica's not America.
But she is a black woman. She was
Jamaica
born
did not
here.
Come out of Jim Crow.
Okay, well, let's go into Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz was born in Canada.
I'm not talking about Ted Cruz. This is not about Ted Cruz. You're changing the subject.
But you know what? We cannot. It was hypocrisy. I'm not changing the subject.
Yes, you are changing the subject.
She's a black woman. I don't know what you want.
Cruz.
Okay.
Indian Americans for 16, please.
The daughter of Indian and Jamaican immigrants. She was elected to replace Barbara Boxer in the Senate in 2016. Andrew?
It was Harris.
Kamala Harris, yes.
Indian Americans 2000.
Okay, so what we're going to cook today is an Indian recipe.
Yes.
Because you are Indian.
Yes.
Okay, and I don't know that everybody knows that, but I find that wherever...
Dude, we're, like, at this point, like, it's so obvious, you know? How do I get this down? Everybody knows, right? Everybody sees through it. Everybody sees through the tactics. Like, yes, of course there's the people who don't. Of course there's the people that really don't pay attention at all. And we live in this world where you got to have your opinion, right? Everybody's talking about it, so you got to have your opinion. And so many people, like, are just not okay with being like, I don't know about this stuff. I don't know about this stuff, you know? I don't have an opinion. You got to have an opinion on Trump. Isn't Trump Hitler? Isn't he like the most evil person? And so it's like, well, I don't, you know, this entire culture and all of my teachers and all of my professors and everybody who I look up to, they all think Trump's the devil, and so I've got to have my opinion. Isn't her husband Jewish? Dude, her husband, it's like, you look at him and you're like, no black woman's going to date this guy. Let me find a... But yeah, guys, that video was from our homegirl, Slow Boy Whiteboard. Everybody, please go subscribe to her channel. She's super based, super awesome, longtime friend of the channel. Let me look up a picture of Kamala's husband. Somebody in my family told me that this dude had some sort of association with Nambla. This is what somebody in my family said, and I tried looking it up, and I could not find anything to do with that. So if somebody in the audience knows whether or not that's true or not, the person who told me about it probably heard it from some show, so I took it with a grain of salt. This guy, Doug Emhoff, like the most white man ever. Just like, I don't know if he's Jewish, but he sure looks like it. But I don't know, I can't tell. Can't tell by looking at him. Emhoff, could be. Oh shit, sorry, I thought you guys were seeing the images. It did it in a new... Why does it do that, dude? It opens a new tab. Let me show it on the screen. This guy. Yeah. I don't know. Don't know. Don't want to know. I don't want to see 4 years of the clips and her running things. I don't want to watch videos of her face or her talking. It's just terrible, and it feels like I'm getting slapped in the face. It feels like I'm getting spit in the face, right? And I really think that, like, the vast majority of American citizens, like, are not... The vast majority of American citizens are either are going to vote for Trump, are going to vote for Trump in secret, they don't talk about it, or they're just not going to vote at all. because they're just so sick of the nonsense. I really think that that's the case. I don't think there's very many people at this point who see everything that the DNC has done and all of this stuff and think, yeah, that's our guy. We still got to stop Trump, though. He's basically Hitler. I think that they really there's not many of them left, and that they just cheat. I don't know though. I really don't. It's not personal. They hate us all. That's true. That's very true. We don't want 4 years of globalist porn. I just, dude, like it with the way that things are unfolding. Like, every time there's an election, everybody says this is the most important election ever. In our lifetimes, in the history of the world. There's not going to be another election. We hear this stuff every time because there is this sort of understanding that things are getting worse. That this is not leading somewhere good, but it really does feel like a strong possibility that like the country that we know could not be here in another 4 years. Like there could be a massive global conflict. There could be a civil war. There could be a million different things that could happen that could totally reshape the American landscape and the whole entire way we live. And at the bottom line, even if that doesn't happen, being charitable, even if that doesn't happen, like food's not going to get cheaper. Gas isn't going to get cheaper. Electricity isn't going to get cheaper. Things are going to get worse, and that alone should be enough to want to see it go a different way. I hope it does, but at the end of the day, like I think more, like I was trying to say earlier, the most important thing for us to do is to pray. Really, like sincerely, fervently, and for a long time, just pray that God is merciful on us. Because, like, man, dude, it sucks seeing this thing happen the way it does, but at the same time, as a Christian, we know that our enemies are our greatest friends in a sense. That the worse things get, the more encouragement it gives us to look to God. And our enemies are the ones who convict us and call out our faults and call out our sins and make it plain for the world to see. And that's a blessing if we take it the wrong way. I remember seeing on the news here about South Asians and Kamala basically biased towards her. Civil war's coming, Tim Pool. Well, the last thing I saw Tim Pool was, I lost so much money. My precious stock market. Some smart aleck about 124 years ago, like Mark Twain, said, if voting accomplished anything, they wouldn't let us vote. Yeah. For the most part, that's true, dude. Like I've said throughout the last few streams, like I'm not a democracy shill. I'm not a guy who thinks this system is perfect, but I do think that if it ran right and if they counted our votes, I think that it would accomplish things. But there's just more power in information control and in culture control and in bureaucratic control that for the most part of my lifetime, it was John McCain, it was George Bush, and Al Gore. Yeah, that doesn't accomplish anything. My priest recommended reading Psalm 26, 50, and 90 for our nation. Well, let's pull it up, dog. Let's pull it up before I hop off. Psalm 26. Let's see. All right, I'll share the screen. Judge me, O Lord, for I have walked in my integrity. I have trusted also in the Lord, therefore I shall not slide. Examine me, O Lord, and prove me. Try my reins and my heart. For thy loving kindness is before my eyes, and I have walked in thy truth. I have not sat with vain persons, neither will I go with dissemblers. I have hated the congregation of evildoers, and I will not sit with the wicked. I will wash my hands in innocency. So will I compass thine altar, O Lord, that I may publish with the voice of thanksgiving and tell of all thy wondrous works. Lord, I have loved the habitation of thy house, and the place where thine honor dwelleth. Gather not my soul with sinners, nor my life with bloody men, in whose hands is mischief, and their right hand is full of bribes. But as for me, I will walk in mine integrity. Redeem me, and be merciful unto me. My foot standeth in an even place. In the congregations will I bless the Lord. Glory to God. Psalm 50. Let's see here. The mighty God, even the Lord, hath spoken, and called the earth from the rising of the sun unto the going down thereof. Out of Zion the perfection of beauty God hath shined. Our God shall come, and shall not keep silence. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous round about him. He shall call to the heavens from above, and to the earth, that he may judge his people. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. And the heavens shall declare his righteousness, for God is judge himself. Selah. Hear, O my people, and I will speak. O Israel, and I will testify against thee. I am God, even thy God. I will not reprove thee for thy sacrifices or thy burnt offerings, to have been continually before me. I will take no bullock out of thy house, nor he goat out of thy folds. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle upon 1,000 hills. I know all the fowls of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the field are mine. If I were hungry, I would not tell thee, for the world is mine, and the fullness thereof. Will I eat the flesh of bulls, or drink the blood of goats? Offer unto God thanksgiving, and pay thy vows unto the Most High. And call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. But unto the wicked God saith, What hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Seeing thou hatest instruction, and casteth my words behind thee. When thou sawest a thief, then thou consentest with him, and hast been partaker with adulterers. Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thought that I was altogether such a one as thyself. But I will reprove thee, and set them in order before your eyes. Now consider this, ye that forgot God, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whoso offereth praise glorifieth me, and to him that ordereth his conversation aright, I will show the salvation of God. Number differently, KJV. What, did I do the wrong one? Did I do the wrong one? Oh no, I didn't know that they were numbered differently. Well, those are still good to hear, right? All right, look up 27. Aight, dog, I'll do it. I'll do it. John, you tell me what to look up. I'll look it up. All right, so this is the one. Gotcha. All right, I'll just read this one. See, this is why I got to check the chat, man. Few Orthodox even have learned from the catastrophe of Russia, except for Slavic parishes like my old parish. Those who survived lived through what Solzhenitsyn and Father Seraphim described. Amen. All right, let's check this out. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Though a host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in his temple. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me up upon a rock. And now shall my head be lifted up above my enemies round about me. Therefore will I offer in his tabernacle sacrifices of joy. I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto the Lord. Wow, that's really beautiful. That's good to hear, man. For real, that's a great. I'm still gonna read the rest of it, but that's a great psalm to read. Because it's like I said in the beginning, like I'm not gonna lie, like I am freaking scared, dude. I'm scared of the future of this country. I'm scared of the consequences of evil. I'm unsettled by what I see happening in this country right now. And even though I know, shouldn't be afraid, and I know, that's just a symptom of my own impiety and sinfulness, it's hard not to go, ooh, I'm worried. So this is a great psalm to read for sure. Hear, O Lord, when I cry with my voice. Have mercy also upon me and answer me. When thou said, Seek ye my face, my heart said unto thee, Thy face, Lord, will I seek. Hide not thy face from me. Put not thy servant away in anger. Thou hast been my help, leave me not, neither forsake me, O God of my salvation. When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. Teach me thy way, O Lord, and lead me in a plain path because of mine enemies. Deliver me not over unto the will of mine enemies, for false witnesses are risen up against me, and such as breathe out cruelty. I had fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thy heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Glory to God. Thank you, John. I appreciate you sending me that. What is there to be afraid of? I mean, I'm afraid for my family. I'm afraid for my neighbors. I'm afraid for... I suppose if afraid isn't the right term because, like, at the end of the day, like, my faith is in God. I understand that. I'm afraid that I know that I'm not, where I should be. I know I'm not as strong as I should be and stuff. So it's sort of like disappointed in myself in a sense, like, I should be better. And also just, the sort of injustice of it all. Like, it's needless. A war right now is needless. I don't want it to happen. Poverty and scarcity right now is so needless. It shouldn't be happening here. That sort of thing. I'm concerned about conflict. I'm concerned about those things happening. But for real, that's a very, very good point, right? The Lord is with me. Whom shall I fear? And so that's how I'm trying to be. But I'm also just trying to be honest and say, yeah, it concerns me. It concerns me watching things unfold. Look at these. Reading takes about 15 minutes. So if you can pull yourself away from the world for 15 minutes 3 times a day throughout the day, you can do the daily Psalter readings every day. Good point, brother. Good point. All right, man. I'm going to hop off. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for letting me vent. And thank you for everybody. Thank you, John, for sending in that psalm. I'm definitely going to check out the other ones that you told me to read. But yeah, God bless everybody. Thank you so much. And please pray, go to church, and do your best, man. And God bless you all. And I will see you later. Until next time, Lil Ewok signing off. Peace out, homies. Bye-bye.